Om. Om. There was a man in ancient India, a wise man, more like a sannyasi. So, sannyasi is a Hindi word, and if you are not familiar with Hindi or you are not from certain parts of India, or if you are not from certain parts of India, you may not be familiar with the term sannyasi. You see, a sannyasi, the word sannyasi came from sannyas. It means a person who is worn out. It means a person who is worn out and a person who is tired of the hustle bustle and the same regular routine of life. Remember yesterday I told you our safety cocoon becomes our bondage. Our regular safety cocoon wears us out. A sannyasi has become tired and worn out of the similarity and regular routine in life. This is, by the way, my seers, my loved ones, this is the first indication to look inwards. This is where it prompts you to look inwards. It prompts you to look for something more, but not outside of yourself. That's the step towards liberation. That's the step towards freedom. There's the step towards freedom from bondages or bonds. You see, you have created bonds and you have created bands. You love to create bands, don't you? So, sannyasi is the person who not abandons rather, but goes in seclusion. Sannyasi is the person who goes in silence and seclusion, as you can see the title of my retreat today, and then lives totally on nature and understands that this way wouldn't accumulate more karma. You see, because there is no dealing mostly with humans, you see, and surrounded by nature and surrendered to the divine and sacred. So that's sannyasi. There was a man in ancient India. He was a sannyasi. He lived just in a forest among the trees and lived off on grass or a little bit of fruits and some water from the stream. That's what he lived on. And he didn't have no addictions, of course, because there is nothing available there. So he spent most of his time or all of his time in silence. You know what silence is? Do you want me to silence myself? Shh. Shh. This is silence. Silence outside and silence within. So he lived in silence and seclusion. But every now and then, if you trading caravans would pass by and they would stop over there for some time and greet sannyasi, and if they had a predicament, some type of complication, some type of enigma, whatever the English title you want to attach to it, they would discuss or bring it to sannyasi, and sannyasi would go in seclusion and silence for a brief period of time, and then come out and then would let them know the solution of their predicament. And 100% of the time, the solution was valid and it would work for them. You see, 100%, not even 99. So he became very famous. The news about the sannyasi spread like fire in the jungle. You have heard the phrase. It's a phrase, not that is happening. So the news about sannyasi spread rapidly around, and a local Raja, a local Maharaja, he heard about sannyasi. He was a good Maharaja, he was a good Raja, he had a small kingdom in ancient India. He heard about sannyasi. So he went to sannyasi and asked that why don't you become my advisor? I'm trying to serve humanity. Sannyasi agreed because he, of course, wanted to do karma yoga. Karma yoga, acts of kindness without anything in return. Sannyasi said, I would become your advisor. I don't need your money. Can you just grant me a room, and an empty room? I would live there, and you can uh, and I would advise you I would give you the advice against the predicaments or the complication that you have in your life. And I won't accept any salary or money, but just feed me twice a day, and that's all I expect from you. And Maharaja agreed. So Maharaja granted him a room, and sannyasi said, no matter what happens, no matter what happens, you do not go in this room or any of your people, like your cabinet or your congregation, because he was a Maharaja, he had a small kingdom. So sannyasi told him that do not, no matter what happens, do not go in the room, and do not go, and do not, nobody goes in the room but me. That's the bottom line. And Maharaja and the cabinet and the congregation, they agreed to it. And then what happens is basically, and then what happens is a few days went by, there were some predicaments from the people of kingdom. They would bring their problems and Maharaja would solve them. But if he had some complication that he couldn't get his mind around, a problem or a predicament, he would ask sannyasi to give him advice. And then sannyasi would listen everything patiently, and then would go into the room and would go into the room and wouldn't come out for some time. But when he came out, he brought the perfect answer to the complication or the predicament. If you understand, he brought the perfect answer. And then what happened? Maharaja was fascinated. He said that what is in the room? You see, curiosity kills. So curiosity is, I don't know if it is in nature, maybe it is. I don't know. The past tense, if I don't know, I don't know. Um, Adam, of course, was curious to listen to the tree of the knowledge and eat. Just because of his curiosity, the entire creation started. Otherwise, we were living in heaven and we were in communion with divinity and sacred all the time. But Adam couldn't keep his curiosity within, so he acted. And with that came the knowledge of right and wrong. That with that came the plurality, the polarity, whatever the word you want to use, the judgments, and we lost our paradise, you see, and now we are trying to claim the paradise. We, the yogis and meditators, the rishis, the sannyasis, the sages, They are trying to help, and we are doing our level best. Hopefully, one day we would claim our paradise lost, you see. But in this moment in time, we need laws, absolutely, and we need rules, because there is always someone who messes it up. And of course, in this moment in time, humans cannot be left alone or free, because they would always try to commit some type of atrocity. I'm not saying everyone, but there is always one who does that. So laws are significant and rules are significant. Absolutely, you know, because there is always somebody who tries to mess everything up. I know it it's an observation, and it has been my experience in the past to witness people like that. Anyway, moving on. So Maharaja also became curious about the room, that what he does, he goes in that room and comes out. What is exactly in the room? Maharaja was a simple man, but curious man. His intentions were not ill, but he was curious. One day, Sannyasi took a walk. He liked to take the walk in nature. One day, Sannyasi took a walk and go and went into the forest for some time, and he went into samadhi in the forest. And Maharaja, on the other hand, with his congregation, a few members of the congregation, a few members, Maharaja and the members of the congregation, they literally broke into the room, because they were curious what's in the room. So they broke into the room. When they broke into the room, there was nothing there. There was just a ripped piece of cloth, dust on it, a, a bowl, a mud, made out of mud, a bowl, and a little bit of water in a pot. That's all it was over there. That's it. So, and as they were examining all that, Sannyasi somehow walked in. Now, Maharaja and the cabinets were busted, you see. Right then and there, Maharaja and the cabinets were busted. Sannyasi took the ripped cloth and the bowl and said, "So long." Said, "I told you that if you break into that room, do not go into that room. And if you break into that room, I am gone." You see, that's what he said, Sannyasi. And Maharaja and the cabinet people, the congregation, they started crying and trying to stop him. But Sannyasi said, "No, there is no use to cry, because it's done." And Maharaja said, "Okay, I would honor um, your wish, but at least tell us what was going on when you were in the room." So Sannyasi said, "It is very simple. Do not ever forget your fundamental state. Do not ever, for it's very easy for you to become fascinated and overwhelmed by the objects, by the stains, by the spots, by the beings around you, and also by your thoughts. It's very easy to lose track and get fascinated and get involved in the three-dimensional reality, which is a very narrow band. If you understand broadband and narrow band, we love broadband though. Everybody does. So he said that do not ever forget your fundamental state. The 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 importance and the benefits of a silent mind is recognized. The significance of a silent mind is recognized throughout the history of humans, you see. And I came in the room to remind myself this is what I am. And this I would remind my fundamental state, and I would not fascinated with any of this. In other words, a type of meditation. And when my mind becomes super silent, then the best idea popped in. Always the best idea comes. Always, always the best idea comes when the mind is super silent. You know what super silent is, don't you? Shh, shh. This is super silent. Shh. So he said that uh, that's what I was doing. When the mind became super silent, the solution of the predicament, enigma, or complication came right in my awareness. That's what I was doing. So, just like that, I am telling you today that when you become overwhelmed by your thoughts, when you become overwhelmed by the objects around you, by the beings around you, by the routine that you live in, your cocoon, your security and safety cocoon. When you become overwhelmed or bored, reserve a place in your house that you go, and that place relatively is silent. There is silence there on a certain time of the day. You see, just like for me, this place or the corner inside sometimes. And then become, um, then just go over there and spend time without, just spend time without, do not board on any thoughts, no matter what the thought is. A good thought about somebody, an ill thought about somebody, a horny thought that I want to pleasure myself or I want to feed my addictions, no matter what the thought is, do not board on any thought in that moment. You see, you can take care of these steps other time, but when you are overwhelmed by things like that, do not board on any thought. And then close your eyes, sit attentive, and just breathe over there. You see, a thought would rise, a thought would subside. I have given you the nature of the mind. If you do not attend the thought, it would just pass on. And after that, it would dissipate, it would disappear. That's the, just like that, I'm telling you, this is a tool. And then you would start noticing after a few days, everything takes time, my friends, everything takes dedication. Nothing is going to happen in the blink of an eye. Nobody is a magician here. No David Copperfield or Jesus Christ or anyone. You see, nobody is there. These people do not make decisions in our life. These people cannot do anything about our suffering. You see, no matter how you believe in it, but they cannot. You are the only one who has to take this step. You are the only one who has to perform action to do something about your suffering, and you are going to do it. You know, say full stop to suffering. Say, I suffered enough. Enough. Enough is enough for me. You see, I'm not going to suffer. I'm not going to create dualities in my mind. I'm not going to be fascinated and overwhelmed by the objects or the thoughts or the beings around me. I'm not going to be depressed anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm not going to be anxious anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm not going to live in fear. I am tired of it. You see, say that within you while when you feel that you are being overwhelmed, unfortunately and sadly. Do it. Take action. Take it like this: when we are functioning in the society, take it take it like this: when we are functioning in the society, and when we are functioning among other humans, when we are earning a living among other humans or performing certain tasks, we put a mask on, you see, mask, the persona, you see, the personification, a certain type of personification, the persona, we put a mask on our face when we are uh, functioning among humans, other humans, and performing certain tasks. But when we are by ourselves, we are going to lose the rubber band, you see. When we are by ourselves, we are going to lose the rubber band around the mask. Every day when we meditate in silence, every day when we meditate in seclusion, we lose the rubber band around the mask. And the goal is to lose the rubber band little by little every day. So when we are by ourselves, we can take the mask off easily. And the rubber band is not too tight around the mask. Through meditation, band, it means it's 7 o'clock. You see, do you hear this? Band, it means it's 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock in the morning, non-stop every day. Band in the military barracks. Band in the military barracks plays, you see, 7 o'clock every day. And I love when the band plays, don't you?